Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else. Hey, this is John Fall here with the Access Arts Live weekly organ live stream action roundup. Live on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok now, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So welcome everybody, those of you who are tuning in, and to those who may watch this in the replay, as many of you do. We've got a great week of live stream action. We've got organ recitals for you every day of the week by some top people from Toronto to London to Paris to San Diego, California. We've got the finalist in an organ competition in Moscow. We've got an organ and ensemble and sand animation concert this week. We've got a top organist from Holland. We have a triumphant return by Thomas Ospital of St. Eustache Church, who did just a terrific concert last weekend with the Cologne Philharmonic and Marie Jacot conducting. So let's get to it. Before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, we're happy that so many of you like the videos. What we want you to do is follow Access Arts Live and or subscribe to Access Arts Live free of charge on YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And we'll make sure that you will get more than 1,000 live links to live performances online, not just organ live stream action, but all kinds of orchestras, operas, ballet, etc., etc. So now let us to the matter at hand for this week. In just about an hour, there is a live stream coming up that we've already told you about in this week's in today's live stream update. I'll just mention it to you briefly, and I'll put his picture up for you for a moment as soon as I get in the right file folder for that. It's the Hungarian or Canadian Hungarian organist Imre Olah, and he's going to be live streaming at 7 o'clock European time, 1 o'clock Toronto time. He's at St. James Episcopal Church in Toronto. I will not tell you more about that. Check out today's update that came out about 4 or 5 hours ago. And let's move on to Wednesday's organ live stream action, because we have several live streams to tell you about on Wednesday. The first of them is no stranger to those of you who have been following our live stream reports over the last year and a half. Wednesday, November 19th, the Temple Church London live streams harpsichordist, organist, and music director at the Temple Church, Thomas Allery, playing the Harrison and Harrison organ. That's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon European time. It's lunchtime in the UK. They're the only ones where it's earlier there. Oh, I'm Portugal. 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. Lovely 11 p.m. down under in Australia. Thomas Allery has been the music director at Temple Church since 2023. He had been the assistant director there before that. He's a founding member of a Scottish Baroque repertoire ensemble called the Ensemble Hesperie, a graduate Oxford Royal College of Music Guildhall, teaches basso continuo at the Royal College of Music, and teaches organ at the City of London and Radley College. He's a busy guy. That's a Harrison and Harrison organ, 4 manuals, 3 32-foot stops, originally built for a ballroom up in Scotland back in 1927, and Marcel Dupré came up from Paris to inaugurate it, and it was moved down to London in 1954. Now, 10 minutes after that starts, there's another concert. And by the way, we can't tell you what he's going to be playing because Temple Church London never gives us the information about what their organists are going to be playing. But 10 minutes later, you can tune in and hear Stanley Godfrey, and you'll know exactly what he's going to be playing because I'm about to tell you. Wednesday, November 19th, Queen's College, Oxford, live stream Stanley Godfrey, the organist at Great St. Mary's, Cambridge. That's the organ for Cambridge University. He'll be playing Hendrik Spui, Anthony van Noort, Jan Pieterszoon Zweelink, Peter Cornet, and Arthur Wills on their Frobenius organ. They're very proud of that organ, and we'll give you the link to where you can look it up and find out why. The piece by Hendrik Spoy is Psalm 24. Then he plays an excerpt by an anonymous composer and a bunch of letters and numbers after it that I'm not going to give you. Anthony van Noort is the next piece is Tabulaturbeck von Psalmen and Fantasien. It looks like, to me, if I'm not mistaken, these are all Dutch composers. Then Zweelink, Psalm 140, Peter Cornet's Salve Regina, and Arthur Wills' Prelude and Fugue called Alkmaar. It's got to be Dutch. Anyway, Godfrey is the, as I said, he's organist and assistant director of music at the Cambridge University's own church. Previously, he was at Catholic Cathedral, which used to live stream a lot, at Selwyn College, Cambridge, and he's a graduate of Cambridge. So that's what you get. If you want to hear a lot of Dutch organ music, almost all from the 16th and early 17th century, sort of Baroque stuff, except Arthur Wills is contemporary, just passed away a few years ago. This is your ticket. But that's not all there is on Sunday, because then on Wednesday there actually is a Dutch organist who is going to be performing, and forgive me for saying so, but boy, is she a looker. Well, I'll show you. There she is, although I have several other photos of her, which I can put up. Do I have the one that's used in their own publicity? I have this one. That's the one they're using in their publicity. Just makes a striking figure, and I can't help noticing it. Wednesday, November 19th, the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow is hosting top Netherlands organist Olga Malkina van der Feer. And she's prepared a program that combines works by Bach's predecessors with his toccata and fugue, as well as works by his successors. She is in town at the Catholic Cathedral because they're having an organ competition, and the finalist will be playing on Saturday. It's the 6th International Odoevsky organ competition. She's originally from, let me make sure I get this right. She's originally from the Kurmangazi Conservatory in Alma-Ata, where she graduated like about 30 years ago, 1994. Yeah. And then in 1995, she moved to the Netherlands and has lived and worked there ever since. And a few years ago, in 2019, 2021, she went back to school and got a master's at the Royal Conservatory of The Hague. But she has recordings out for piano and organ, which I'm told her albums have consistently topped the European classical music charts. So what will she be playing? She'll be playing Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, Heinrich Scheidemann's Jesus wollt uns weisen, Zweelinck's Mein Jungens Leben hat ein Ende. My young life is at an end. Thomas Preston, Open la Mire. Okay. I'm not sure if that's not a bad English translation of what the original Russian was. Alexandre Guillemont's First Sonata Symphony in D minor, Opus 42. The introduction, the pastoral, and the final from that. Oresti Ravenella's Theme and Variation in B minor, and Carl Rutti's Veni Creator Spiritus. The Ravenella, Nelli, and the Rutti are both 20th century, but the earlier works are all from back in the Baroque period. So you have a choice. You can actually, you can listen to both. You can listen to all those Dutch organists earlier in the day, because this concert is at 6 in the evening European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. So check it out. And then we move from Wednesday. We don't have anything for you on Thursday. So many of you are watching. It's exciting. But on Friday, as usual, St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral has its weekly live stream organ recital on Friday, November 21st at 1 in the afternoon in San Diego. That's 4 o'clock on the East Coast and 10 o'clock in the evening here in Europe. They never tell us what he's going to play, but he's a very engaging and articulate guy. He makes great selections of European and American composers from contemporary times or earlier times and gives great explanations of why he chose those pieces in terms of the melodies and what he thinks is musically interesting without leaving you in the musicological dust, as I like to say. Good guy, Canon Martin Green. That's the oldest organ in the San Diego area. I think we'll give you a link to more of the details. It's got about 5,000 pipes, 4 manuals, 98 stops, and 115 draw knobs, which is a lot of draw knobs for that number of pipes. But whatever. We move on to Saturday. Saturday is a very interesting organist, and I love these concerts that they do. Here is the organist. It's Fyodor Stroganov. But we can't leave out this either. Okay, this is one of their sand animation concerts. The Catholic Cathedral hosts another of its family concerts on Saturday, November 22nd, with Alice in Wonderland, a musical fairy tale. The music is by organ, violin, flute, oboe, and cello, with sand animation by that wonderful sand animation artist Lydia Miller, and that's one of the kind of images that you'll be able to see during this concert. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of Lydia Miller for you as well. I think I should be able to show you how this sand animation works. Yeah. Here's Lydia Miller at work. And on the video screen, which you will see while the concert is going on, they will cut away from it sometimes, the musicians, but you will see here do painting after painting of scene after scene of the story of Alice in Wonderland. Now the organist here is a really interesting guy. It's Fyodor Stroganov, and the music they'll be playing are his own compositions to go with it. He came out of the Moscow Conservatory back in the 1990s, but he also studied at the Paris Conservatory with Olivier Latry there and with Michel Chapuis, not only organ, but also composition. And he's a professor at Moscow, at the Tchaikovsky Conservatory in Moscow now, chamber ensemble, bass continuo, and harpsichord, and conducts a nearby choir. Interesting guy, and I'm telling you, this sand animation, it's just absolutely lovely. I'm a great fan. If you've never seen it, it's worth tuning in just to see that. We move along to, we're getting towards the end. I think I only have 2 more live streams to tell you about. And this is the organ at the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, which was originally part of a Protestant cathedral, which donated the organ to the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow back in the early 2000s. It was transported piece by piece. We give you the link to it. It's a Kuhn organ. The reason I have that up there is because I don't have a picture for this next concert. Artbene is live streaming a gala concert of the finalists and jury members of the 6th International Odoevsky Organ Competition on Saturday, November 22nd. And that includes Daniel Salvador, who's from the Papal Basilica of St. Michael in Madrid, and the German organist Alexander Mosler. The program will basically be Johann Sebastian Bach and company. So if you're a Bach lover, then you might enjoy tuning into this. It's It's at 6 o'clock in the evening European time, which will make it noon on the East Coast and 9 in the morning on the West Coast. So those are very watchable hours for a Sunday organ recital live stream. And I have one more to tell you about, and then we are done for this week. And I'm very happy to tell you about this one. I'm very happy to see what Thomas Ospital has been up to. Because Sunday, November 23rd, St. Eustache's resident organist Thomas Ospital returns from a triumphant appearance with the Cologne Philharmonic this past weekend to play Bach and Bach and Bach on the 7,952 pipe Vanden Heuvel organ at that church, which you know so well. When I'm in Paris, which is about half of my time, I attend these myself. They get hundreds of people for these concerts, and he'll be playing Bach's Passacaglia BWV 582, Partita O Gott du frommer Gott BWV 767, and then the Prelude and Fugue in G major, Sol majeur, as the French program calls BWV 541, and he'll finally finish up with 17 variations on a theme in D minor. And that's not Bach, and I don't. Does the picture tell you? No, it's just those three things by Bach. That was a mistake on my part. Some of my notes slid around. Anyway, Ospital was played with the Cologne Philharmonic this past weekend, and Marie Jacot was the conductor there. And she brought him in to play Handel's Concerto in F major for organ and orchestra. He wrote 3 or 4 of these concertos for organ and orchestra to use as filler in between portions of his oratorios. And that was one of them. And he did a great job with that on this tiny little organ. And then he stepped up to the cathedral organ, to the hall organ, and played Johann Alain's litanies. And then after that, he did an improvisation, which just blew the roof off the place, and the crowd went nuts. So it was really triumphant. And the really cool thing was that, the Johann Alain, he played by himself. And it isn't all that often that you get to do solos as a musician when you're playing with an orchestra. And I think they kind of saw the Johann Alain as kind of like an encore after playing the Handel or the filler, whatever. And then he did an encore on top of that. And the audience absolutely loved it. There were people on their feet. There were bravos. And so now he's back much more modestly at St. Eustache Church, doing what he very often does, which is playing the organ for the parishioners and the Parisians. And they love it. They turn out 300 or more. There's standing room only in the back. And we give you the link to the organ specs. But if you want to know more about Thomas Ospital, on the YouTube channel of Access Arts Live, in the interview section, we only have 2 interviews, and one of them was with Thomas Ospital, about 35 minutes, talking about the organ at that church and all. Folks, I hope that one, more, some, or any of these live streams inspires you, uplifts you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And with that, I will be signing off now, and reminding you again, if you like this kind of thing, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live, wherever it is you may be watching this. Ciao for now. I'm going to be back in about 40 minutes doing the chamber music roundup, if that interests you as well.